Christ, correspondent takes a look at Easter celebrations. And National Emergency Management Agency reacts to devastation in communities. My pleasure to welcome you to NTA International News this hour. I'm Nancy Godi Angonihu. President Goodluck Jonathan has urged Nigerians to continue to make sacrifices for greater unity, peace, political stability and progress in Nigeria. In his Easter message to the nation, President Jonathan said the major lessons of Easter are to be found in the Messiah's divine love and glorious self-sacrifice for the redemption of mankind. He urged Nigerians to seize the opportunity of the Easter holiday to reflect deeply on what more we need to do as a people to ensure that the political process in which we are currently engaged is successfully concluded. The president said, "We have already successfully scaled through the hurdle of presidential and National Assembly elections," and expressed the hope that the gubernatorial and state assembly elections will also be peaceful. Now, the cost of salvation to the Christian faith is the death of Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary, which forms the basis of Easter the world over. Aminanu James looks at the significance of the day that Christ subjected himself to agony, humiliation, and death as Christian faithful mark Easter.
Over 2,000 years ago, Jesus Christ paid the ultimate price by dying on the cross to save mankind from sin. Jesus passed through pain, carrying the cross all the way to Calvary as he fell thrice before he was eventually hung on the cross. Biblical accounts have it that darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour, for the sun stopped shining, and Jesus Christ in a very loud voice shouted, "Father, to you I commit my spirit."
That was the beginning of the resurrection. Without a death, there will be no burial, there will be no resurrection. And the very fact that he conceded to the Father's will to die in the first place was a given that the Father will fulfill his own covenant with him.
If Jesus had not been killed that day, I don't know where we would be now. In fact, there will be no Christian church anymore.
Clergymen say the death of Christ is significant to Christians, as this has brought a new covenant between God and man.
The wages of sin is death. When man sinned against God, he died. And for God to redeem man, Jesus had to die. The penalty for sin is death.
He bought deliverance for us. You see, that yearly sacrifice that the priests would do in the temple, he stopped all of that and he said, "It is finished."
And he has to restore man to God. And that was his mission on earth.
He paved a way for life for everybody who choose the price he paid for the entire human race. It now became a function of choice for the human race, no longer compulsion to go to death.
The celebration of Good Friday is not without lessons that include that of forgiveness, reconciliation, tolerance, and overall peace.
Nigeria cannot become what she's meant to be without the sacrifice of Nigerians.
Everybody going away from what's in it for me, but what's in it for us as Nigerians.
As Christians in Nigeria await the commemoration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the death on Sunday, the prayer is for the continuation of peace in the land of Nigeria. In Abuja, Aminanu James, NTA News.
The National President, Northern Youth for APC 2015, Alhaji Haliru Meiwa, has commended President Goodluck Jonathan for his rare display of maturity, statesmanship, good sportsmanship, and love for Nigeria. Speaking in Abuja, Alhaji Haliru Meiwa explained that President Jonathan exhibited good spirit by congratulating the president-elect midway into the announcement of the presidential elections by Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. By this conduct, Alhaji Haliru Meiwa said President Jonathan has written his name in gold as one of the best Democrats and nationalists in Africa.
I want to commend our dear President Goodluck Jonathan for his rare display of maturity, statesmanship, good sportsmanship, and love for our dear country, Nigeria, by congratulating the President-elect midway into the announcement of the presidential election by Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, led by Professor Atahiru Jega.
He urged all Nigerians to turn out en masse and cast their votes for candidates of the APC in the April 11th governorship and House of Assembly elections. The Buhari Friends Organization has appealed to the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari to reintroduce the war against indiscipline. Why? As part of the immediate measures to turn the economy around. The national coordinator of the group, Saint Athanasius Okon, made the call in Abuja at a meeting with the stakeholders to appreciate them for their success at the March 28th presidential election. Correspondent Edino Justice has more.
The stakeholders meeting was principally a celebration of their victory at the recent poll, where General Muhammadu Buhari was elected as president of the country. Mr. Okon, while thanking the members for their perseverance, assured them that the positive change that Nigerians voted had finally come with the election of General Buhari. He said the party, on assumption of office, should tackle corruption in public places.
Sanity has to take place in all spheres of our polity, so that by tomorrow, we and generation unborn can be proud of Nigeria. To see that our major refineries are put in full production capacity, eliminate multiple taxation in the country.
He's been a head of state, and more other things he's been, and yet he's been incorruptible.
The coordinator commended the Nigerian media for maintaining balanced reportage during the presidential election.
I must personally appreciate the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. Despite speaking from the government opposite side, as we were made to believe and feel, they professionally tried at all times to balance the story.
Buhari Friends Organization Network, which started about 2 years ago, was among the foremost Buhari support group that started the call for the general to contest the 2015 presidential election. Edino Justice, NTA News.
As the global community continues to react to the outcome of the March 28th presidential elections, Nigerians in China believe the will of the people was allowed to prevail. Julieta Aino met some Nigerians in the city center in Beijing, and they called on the elected government to stay true to its responsibility to the people and the country.
We have it peaceful this time around. That is the greatest thing that is giving us the joy even here. Because as a country, we don't have any other place to go than Nigeria. So the peace we witnessed, the peace we saw, is what is giving us a very good comfort here, even as we are far away from home.
Still thankful for a successful, free and fair election in Nigeria, Nigerian students in China are urging the new government to rise to the challenges of the country from the first day in office.
We should know that this thing we are talking about, it has been there for quite a long number of times. So that's not an excuse for him to fail. But we expect that he should be able to, at least on priority list, the issue of security, economy, and employment for young Nigerians. This power must be stable. So when we have a stable power, a stable electricity, then economy is moving fine, then I think all of that things we put in place.
The president-elect has been advised to reach out to all Nigerians and heal the wounds created during campaign.
He's now the president, and he's the president of everyone. He needs to secure our people and our nation. He needs to work with other countries like he has promised to secure our borders, to secure our property, to secure Nigerians, whether they are in Nigeria or even abroad. When we show our passport, we believe that people should give us more respect as Nigerians. I think the president needs to show exemplary leadership because he was elected based on a stand of anti-corruption, wealth and transparency. So we need him to show exemplary leadership by starting from himself, to show that there are certain privileges that were before enjoyed by the president which he no longer requires. That will go a long way to show an example to other offices in the National Assembly that truly this president is a man of his words.
As young representatives of the country in China, the Nigerian students' body in China believe the new government should consolidate its good relations with China, adding to the footprints of development that China has already put in Nigeria.
It is very important that the new president-elect continues on this trend In as much as we have other partners, other friends from the West, it is very important that what has begun to be established in China continues, because we have seen the model in China. The model in China works for Africa because they come with their resources, they come with their team, they invest in the country, they do not look at giving you interest that will cut you at the end of the day for your generations to keep paying. So therefore it's a model that I feel has to be protected and even more consolidated upon.
The optimism for the newly elected government in Nigeria did not come from Nigerians in China alone. Some Chinese businessmen who have investments in Nigeria have also expressed best wishes for the new government and hope for more cooperation between Nigeria and China. From Beijing, China, Julieta Aino, NTA News.
In the same vein, the Radio, Television and Theatre and Arts Workers Union, RATAU, has congratulated the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari for winning the 2015 presidential election. In a statement signed by its General Secretary, Mr. Henry Odugala, the union particularly noted the peaceful atmosphere that prevailed during the election. The union also acknowledged what it calls the historic role of President Goodluck Jonathan for providing conducive atmosphere for free and fair elections, as well as conceding defeats. Nigerians and non-Nigerians in the United Kingdom have commended President Goodluck Jonathan for consolidating Nigeria's fledgling democracy. They stated this in an interview with NTA correspondent Bilkisu Abdurazakodoye in London.
This is a very positive development in that sense that it had not happened before, that a president, an incumbent president, who conceded defeat even before the final tally of the results.
If it could have been any other person in this position at this point in time, I'm sure the situation would have been different.
But you give it to him because he will go down the history of Nigeria that he has brought this well-deserved change to Nigeria, and he had no choice than to congratulate the president in waiting.
That is an honorable thing to do, and I really thank him for being gracious in defeat.
They advised Nigerians to put away the differences and party affiliations so as to move the country to greater heights.
Whoever wins, if there temporarily one day he will also be out. We should play the game by the rule.
It's time to come back and work for the same common goal, which is to make our country safe, to fight the corruptions, to create employment for our youth, and to improve the state infrastructure. So it needs everybody.
We should put all our differences aside now and go beyond our personal disappointments now and look forward to working as the opposition party to be effective.
We need to restore peace. We need to show the spirit of sportsmanship. We are not enemy, we are all Nigerian. The politics of Nigeria is for all of us, for a better nation. So we have to keep our calm. Just let us work together to move Nigeria forward.
The peaceful election and the results, they say, will have a ripple effect across Africa, as it shows that Nigeria has truly come of age as a democratic nation.
I think as there were few expectations of, war or civil war, I know that Nigeria has proved now that it's a true democracy and that people could vote free.
Since we're able to get it right, I am sure other countries will also get it right.
In London, Bilkisu Abdurazakodoye, NTA News.
Now, the family as a major unit of society needs to be properly nurtured to enhance the peace, unity and development of the country. This was the center of discussions at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Family History Discovery Day in Abuja. Correspondent Joseph Orok reports that the church also appreciated Nigerians for the peaceful conduct of the March 28th presidential election. The report.
As Nigerians observed Easter, the trial and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, it is imperative that people look beyond the celebration to the lessons of sacrifice and redemption of mankind as exemplified by Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at its Family History Discovery Day, stressed the need for families to hold family tree meeting to ensure that the family contributes positively to the society.
Family history work, especially here in Africa, is important to the church, but it's not only important to the church, it's important to be able to learn about our ancestors, to be able to cherish them, to hear the stories, to learn from the stories.
The counsel of it is to remember that when we talk about families, families are not only made up of the living, but also the dead. And these two groups of family members are very important to Heavenly Father.
The Abuja State President of the Church, Professor Edima Okupon, while applauding Nigerians for the peaceful conduct of the March 28th election, urged people to give the president-elect the necessary support.
Nigerians have spoken. Regardless of what transpired, whether the election was okay or not, the INEC has pronounced a leader, a president-elect. All of us have to go with him and wait for him to do that which we have elected him to do.
Joseph Oro, NTA News.
A special Good Friday prayer and Mass was held at the Embassy of Cameroon in Beijing to mark the end of Lent and fasting. The prayer session, which was attended by both Africans and Europeans, included the Stations of the Cross, where worshippers go through the motions of the same sufferings that Jesus Christ experienced on the way to Mount Calvary before he was crucified. Julieta Aino reports that Good Friday Mass, which was hosted by the ambassador of Cameroon to China, Paul Nsavundi, was held especially to pray for the defeat of the Boko Haram insurgency, which has been terrorizing citizens of Nigeria, Cameroon, and neighboring countries. You're watching news on NTA International. Still ahead, special edition of Week in Review focusing on the presidential elections. Stay with us.
NTA International. This is where the news begins. Every breaking news and development on the African continent.
Welcome to NTA International News. State House correspondent Hamza Musa.
In-depth news analysis and professional perspectives on all sides of the story.
Experts say the issue of security
national energies and resources must be mobilized.
Every day on NTA International, we take you inside Africa and the world.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thank you for being there. Communities affected by flood in Agwagune community of Biase local government area of Cross River State have received building materials for the federal government to support the reconstruction of residential and public buildings in the community. Handing over the items in the community, the Director General of NEMA, Muhammad Sani Sidi, who was represented by the Director Relief and Rehabilitation, Mr. Eugene Eze, said the rehabilitation and resettlement of Agwagune community is expected to ease the pains that come from annual floods and landslide affecting the livelihood of the people.
The rehabilitation of Agwagune community will indeed bring succor not only to the community but also to the Cross River State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, and NEMA by ensuring promotion of their statutory mandates of building safe, livable, and resilient communities.
The Secretary to the Cross River State Government, Dr. Tom Oga, told the community that government was worried about their plight and was doing everything possible to ameliorate it. He promised the kind gesture of the federal government through the NEMA and assured that its items will be judiciously utilized to the benefit of the people. Nigerian youths have been advised to arise and rewrite their history if they must meet up with the challenges of the future. The Director General Nigerian Youth Think Tank Group, Dr. Victor Ofion, gave the advice at a Good Youth Summit held in Calabar. Ode Aleno was at the summit for NTA News.
The summit with the theme Nigerian Youth Rewrite Your History, Take Your Destiny in Your Hands, and Looking Beyond 2015, seek liberation for Nigerian youth to meet their aspirations. The Director General, Dr. Offiong, lamented that the future of the Nigerian youth has tarried for too long, noting that the mentors are more in numbers than those they mentor.
Talking about youth inclusion in governance, it doesn't mean that it's going to be on a platter of gold. We have to be competent. We must have the capacity to deliver.
There were paper presentations on the state of Nigerian nation and the position of the Nigerian youth, overview of the plight of the youth from 1960 to 2015 by guest speakers. The speakers dwelled on the basic qualification for a nation builder to include social, ethical, temperament, maturity, intellectual and domestic qualifications, among others. A communique reached at the end of the interactive summit organized by the Nigerian Youth Think Tank Group in collaboration with African Child Diaspora Foundation, where 40% appointment of youth into governance and 40% contract for youth on business ventures, among others. In Calabar, Ode Alenyo, NTA News.
The Week in Review segment of the news takes a look at the just concluded Nigeria's 2015 presidential election. Musa is here with the compilation. Musa.
Hello and welcome. In peace and successfully, Nigeria's presidential and National Assembly elections have come and gone, with All Progressive Congress candidate General Muhammadu Buhari winning the election.
That Muhammadu Buhari of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
President Goodluck Jonathan has, before the final announcement of the results, called General Buhari to concede defeat and congratulate him on his success in the polls.
We have come here is to thank President Jonathan for this statesmanship. In the history of Nigeria, I think this is the first time where a contestant has called his rival to congratulate him. And through this point, President Jonathan has always maintained a point that the blood of Nigeria is not worth his presidency. And by his action, he has proved that.
President Jonathan has since been commended by many, describing him as a statesman with the interests of the nation at heart.
So important, so big country as Nigeria, that is an example for all Africa and many countries in the world. Also, I congratulate President Jonathan.
No, people should emulate what the president has done, Goodluck Jonathan. And in our slogan, we say power belongs to the people. The people have decided, and that's all. And so we have to work.
At the end of the day, we are all Nigerians that want the best for our country, regardless of what shade or what coloration.
The country is about the people and not about individuals. And I believe that's why he rose to the call to congratulate the winner of the election and make the world to realize that Nigeria have come of age. For those who are thinking that Nigeria will break up, I think they should see that we have a different Nigerian with a different mindset.
It would be very historical and it would be something laudable even in the history of Africa. Nigeria's democracy has really grown to the point where it has matured.
The president-elect and his running mate, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, are later presented with certificates of return by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Here, General Buhari expresses deep appreciations to all Nigerians.
We must forget our own voters and past grievances and learn to forge ahead. That Nigeria will now stand as a more constructive partner in advancing the matters of concern in our continent, particularly with regards to economic development.
President Jonathan, in a media broadcast, thanked Nigerians for the opportunity given to him to serve and promises to continue to work for the peace and unity of the country.
I promised the country free and fair elections. I have kept my word. have also expanded the space for Nigerians to participate in the democratic process. That is one legacy I would like to see endure.
Commendations continue to pour in within and outside the country for the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission and his team, security operatives, and indeed all Nigerians for the successful exercise.
Despite the pocket of incidents and logistical challenge, the ECOWAS observation mission is persuaded that the general election of March 28, 2015, as well as the ongoing one, meets the basic criteria for being free and transparent.
They would like to congratulate all Nigerian people because they show a big commitment to go to the elections, not in easy circumstances. A hot day with some technical problems, but even that, they were there. They show that you Nigerians are true democrats.
President Jonathan joins other Christians at the Good Friday service in Abuja to give thanks to God for the successful presidential polls. Now the news continues.
Thank you, Musa. And it is with this special edition of the Week in Review that we conclude the news. Bye for now.